ideology. Like, we never voted for 2 LGBT, whatever, P2P plus, whatever it is. You know what I mean? We never voted on it. It was just inserted in our
all of it. Everything's been inserted into it for our safety, and inclusivity, sustainability. Those words
to protect them more so than anything else.
Absolutely, and all those words are
because they're subject to attacks all the time. Meaning, you don't really want to chop those off, do you? That's an attack.
Yeah. I don't believe these polls either, that they're coming up with all these polls.
All right, so we're live right now at Gordon's event, and people are just chatting right here. I don't know if I can be heard, if I'm too loud, too quiet. I have no idea what's going on, but this is one of the lives for Gordon's event. And I just wanted to look around, make sure I'm not, I feel like I'm prying into a private conversation, but it is a good conversation. And this is a nationalist Constitutional Reform Party leader who's going to be speaking, and going to switch these here. There we go. I don't know if I can be heard. I better go check that. Okay. Going to be seeing if I'm too loud, too quiet. If you can't hear me, I've got a live tonight. It's going to be at 9:30 p.m. And going to have Tish Conlon, who's an author. She just had her birthday. So I do look forward to having her on at 9:30. And I look forward to that very much. So I'm going to adjust the volume here. The event hasn't started yet, apparently.
Well, look at all the love I'm getting.
And
we got Brian here. We got Howard.
Let's see if I can't make it a little bigger.
Here's Gordon.
Oh, Gordon has arrived.
It's
which is awesome.
Stephanie. And we're talking about things tonight. There you go. There you go. I told you it squeals.
Женя, he approached me. You know, я понимаю, I speak some Russian, yeah?
Now you know, eh?
And he told me,
It squeals, I told you, eh? That's why I said be careful.
So that is Gordon. And hopefully we'll be able to hear him.
I'm just waiting for him anyways. But I gotta do it because otherwise
we will test it out.
just having conversation.
Are you loud? I'm so surprised because majority of the people even on the Facebook, you know.
Look at who we got. All the way from Sudbury.
Hi, everybody.
There will be some few elements, you know, generally talking about completely. And yeah, And when he told me that I was going back to my room and I was crying, I said, "My goodness, no, like, people with those soldiers becoming so."
Okay, you can make it wrong.
They would never be war.
Check.
What and you don't have to say a word.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't support veterans.
Star of the show. So why don't you say hi to Joel? I know.
We have no more.
Stand. Not here.
But don't forget that.
No, there's men around.
Just adjusting. There we go.
Sorry for the lot.
The army said clearly that no nation could go near but Russia. And Poland.
All right. See if I can't make myself a little smaller here.
They don't have the Western stand down, however you look at it, because, even if it's the Middle East stuff, there's certain subtleties there that might be playing out.
Yeah, that's
Have you
better.
eaten? In the process. It's good. Yeah.
Difference between me and Gordon right now? He's wearing pants. I'm kidding. So I do look forward to this speech. I just had him on not long ago. And I hope to have him on again. He has agreed to come back on the Truth Table.
The weather is.
I look forward to that.
Oh yeah, I was going by Tasha. They didn't remove this one.
This is it's the worst. They're holding back sand and salt because they think they can, increase our house by 4% and then cut the surface.
Because I was going down by Tasha, okay, on the right side, and there was so much of snow, like I was like, oh shit, my car is so light. I was like slowly playing by the way, slowly.
It's empty.
I mean, like, the best is to order and pay right away.
Just the stand here. Carl, you don't mind shifting left?
Okay. Wondering if I should do something else while until he's ready. I don't want to miss the beginning, so thank you to whomever is sharing this video. If someone else shares video,
Thank you for your patience.
I will use the best one that I can find. If there is an option, an alternative, I will do that.
Thank you for coming, okay, tonight. Okay, I really appreciate it. It's the weather didn't really help us to have more people. Usually we have twice more people, for dinner, but like I always say, the most important are already here. So thank you, I appreciate it. And this dinner is a little bit different, and it's, I would say, more special, okay, because we have Gordon, who is going to cross Canada, and Gordon is in a position of presenting us what he's trying to find as a remedy for the issues that are going on recently in our country, okay? I'm talking about Canada because I have another country which is my Poland. Okay? And as you know, we have been, excuse me my language, fucked up on every single aspect of our lives. You know, recently I've been doing a big research about the RAP, Relocation Assistance Program. And as an immigrant to this country who received zero from this government, it pisses me off how much money right now we're paying for the relocation. The question is why we're relocating those people, okay? So there is a lot, and I've noticed that Gordon has also, in his agenda, he also has immediate address open border and mass immigration. You know, it breaks my heart when I see a lot of people who are supposed to be retired and still working, okay, in a grocery store that I know for the last 20-some years, okay, so enjoy the meal for those who are still eating. It's a very good meal, and big bravo to Rosie, our Rosie, who is the owner of the restaurant. Yes. This is the restaurant that during the convoy, for those who don't know, was always open. That was my street actually. Kent was my street. I was always here because I was with the adopted brother, so that was my street. Every single person sleeping in the cars. So thank you for Rosie. And if every single restaurant will be open during that time, you know, people not only will make money, but they will show the government, you know, like we. So and the dance. So anyhow, so I think right now we are giving voice because I'm just the voice here. Gordon presents his plan and his party. Is this a party or this is party? So.
Here we go. First off, thanks to Zena for throwing this together last minute. I was kind of traveling. Just an impromptu quick travel. I was returning the truck that I borrowed to a guy in Sault Ste. Marie, and thanks to Stephanie for helping me facilitate that and drive me back here so I can get the train back next tomorrow to get situated to travel the country. Thanks to the Red Pepper for allowing us to do this, and Howard, the song guy from Ottawa, he made this for me today, so thank you to Howard. I much appreciate that as well. Anyway, we got Bozina's friends all came here. We got some Wellington Street people here, Patty and Brian and Carl and them, so thanks to them all for coming. So I'll get into how we get to this position, how I got to this position, I guess, to start with. We'll start off with the last federal election, and I'll ask the question: how many people in here voted in the last federal election? Okay, so how many of these people that voted in the last federal election voted for the Conservative Party? And how many voted for the Conservative Party because they believed in the Conservative Party, or they were voting for the lesser of two evils? Okay, so I didn't vote, and it's kind of interesting how I got here, and I've taken a little bit of browbeating for that. For those of you that know me, I'm the apolitical guy, and I'm still the apolitical guy. I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to be a politician. But the reason I got here was because during the last federal election, as I'm debating with people, trying to explain to the people that voting for the Conservatives is not going to bring about the change that they desire, that they're looking for to fix the problems in this country, I kind of got backed into a corner, honestly. Everybody was telling me, you know, well, we got to choose the lesser of two evils. The Liberals are destroying the country, so on and so forth. So that's true. It looks like on the surface that the Liberals are destroying the country. So voting for the lesser of two evils would give somebody a belief of an opportunity for change. However, the Liberals are nothing more than puppets. None of these people at Parliament and the House of Commons actually are doing anything. They're just following orders from above, and the Conservative Party would have done the same thing, and I knew that. But because everybody was stuck in that position where they vote for the lesser of two evils, I started to weigh in my own mind that I may understand that the system is a fraud from its entire design, and these people are still telling the truth. There's not an option. So I decided, because I have the knowledge of the system and I understand that it's a fraud, then maybe we have this opportunity, a loophole in the back, create a party that is about actually bringing about change, that is actually about for the people, that is not working for the system, that is not swearing oaths to the crown, and so on and so forth. So that's why I birthed this party. And like I said, I took some heat from my close friends, being the apolitical guy. Didn't make sense. How does this make sense? Make it make sense. The way it makes sense for me is it's a path to give us a voice. I don't know for sure that this is going to work. I can see a path to success, but it's at least an option that's not the lesser of two evils. It's not an evil option. It's about the people, for the people. I'm nobody special. I just put this together. I put the platform together, talking about the real issues that we need to address, foundational issues that we need to address that none of these political parties are going to address. So that's the purpose of the Nationalist Constitutional Reform Party. I chose a name on purpose, Nationalist, because I want us to take care of our people first. That's not a racist term. That's about taking care of our people first. As everybody is aware, we have mass open-door immigration policy. It's not being caused by the Liberals. It's actually from the United Nations, UN Replacement Migration Policy. That's what's driving that. That's why it's happening all around the world, and that's why none of these political parties are going to bring any change, because they're not changing it anywhere else in the world. The same thing is happening all over the world, and they have elections, they go through the same process, and nothing ever changes. The only way it's ever going to change is if the people change it. So that's the purpose. What are the big problems we have in this country? Foundational structural issues. Some people can argue with me, debate with me, but the facts are the facts. We do not have an actual constitution for the people. We do not have an actual constitution that is there to protect the rights of the people. We do not have a constitution that does not allow the government to step on the rights of the people. Why? Because they designed this system as such. The justice system, the court system, is part of the political system. The Supreme Court judges are appointed by the Prime Minister. Every court is paid for by the corporation that it works under, whether it's provincial or federal. They're paid for by them. We don't have a police structure that works for the people. We have corporate policy enforcers that work for the corporations, provincially or federally, such as the RCMP working for the federal government. Unless they're subcontracted to the provinces, then they're working for the corporation of the provinces. They do not serve and protect us. They are policy enforcers, and they ultimately serve and protect the politicians, which are the criminals. That's a major structural issue. Separation from the monarchy, a major structural issue. Now, I can go down a whole bunch of rabbit holes about the monarchy and that they don't have any legitimate true authority with their own documentation. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, the politicians swear their oaths to the monarch, to the crown. They don't swear their oaths to the people. So, when they're walking around, they're guilty of a whole bunch of stuff. We can talk about the whole vaccine protocol and the mandates and how they're guilty of that and the deaths that that's caused and the damage that that's caused, and nobody wants to speak about that, genocide, whatever. They want to dodge that bullet at all turns. But if you don't want to go down the conspiracy rabbit holes that some people believe they are, you can look at fraud, simply fraud. They come to your door, they knock on your door, and they're asking for your vote in hopes that you're going to believe that they'll represent you, when in fact they do not represent you. They've lied to you. And what is the definition of fraud? It's achieving something by deceit, achieving something of value by deceit. So something of value is your vote, which ultimately gets them the seat, which ultimately gets them the six-figure salary. And it was by deceit because they're telling you they represent you, and they do not represent you. They work for the Parliament. They swear their oath to the Crown. In the Littlechild case, 1990, in Alberta, clearly states, the judge clearly states in that court finding that there is no legal mechanism to hold them accountable to the constituents. They are only accountable to the Parliament. Facts are facts. So that's a structural issue that we have to deal with. Are these people going to deal with that? No, they're not going to deal with that, because that's the system that they work within. That's the system that they benefit from. Yeah. Dissolution of the unelected Senate, their big issue. Appointed people with six-figure salaries helping to make laws and rules and statutes and all this stuff that doesn't really apply to us to rule over our lives. Nobody voted for any of them people. So that's another big issue we have to deal with. National debt and central bank. That's an interesting one. I skipped over the income tax issue, but there should be no income tax on personal income. You're not supposed to tax wages. That's a fraud. That's illegal. It was a Wartime Measures Act. It was supposed to be short term, and it's not. And they are bleeding us dry with that. National debt and breaking free from the central bank. That seems like a big step for people, and they don't quite understand. But 1974, Pierre Trudeau made a deal and signed off Canada's bank to the IMF, the international bankers, run now by the BIS. And ever since then, our debt has been growing exponentially, because then we get into just continually paying interest. Before that, the bank basically lent money to the government for operations at virtually no interest or very low interest. After that, it was compound interest. Nobody would make that decision unless it's going to benefit them. It never benefited us. So that's not our debt. So I would say we just end that deal. Pierre Trudeau never had the authority to make that decision, because Pierre Trudeau never had the authority to run this country. Anyway, nonetheless, that's going to be pressing very, very, very soon, because now we're facing digital identification and digital currency. And the only way we're going to avoid the digital currency is people getting the power back and separating from these central banks, because that digital currency is a worldwide agenda, and it's way more entailed than people understand. Unified ledger, all across the world, blockchain, tokenization. Tokenization means everything will be tokenized, from the land, the air, the water, assets, liabilities, everything will be tokenized. It will be on that ledger, unified ledger. There'll be no, as a business owner, there'll be no way to hire somebody to help you find the tax loopholes. They're just going to take your taxes out of it. They're going to take whatever. Digital currency, that means they control where you spend it, when you spend it, because it's programmable. They're going to have total control of that. Where you spend it, when you spend it, if you can spend it, and there'll be expiry dates on your income. So it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. When you get shifted into this digital system, there'll be an expiry date on your income, and there'll be no legal mechanism for you to do anything about them putting an expiry date on your income. The ultimate goal is two classes of people. The class, which would be the citizens, I guess, at the bottom of the barrel, and the ruling class. There'll be no middle class. They're going to wipe that whole thing out. Obviously, we have to seriously, we have to separate from organizations, unelected NGOs like UN, NATO, WF, WHO, who are ruling countries. When people talk about foreign interference, people are assuming that foreign interference is as simple as a politician in Ottawa making a deal with the Indian government. But foreign interference has been going on for generations, and that's what's led us into this mess. All of these deals with the United Nations, like the replacement migration policy that's causing the immigration issues, as an example, deals with the WEF and the WHO, and we have the pandemic treaty with the WHO, and they're going to be in control of all that. That's worldwide new world order, one world government. People can say that's a conspiracy theory, but that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. These people are telling the politicians that are in Ottawa what to do, and the politicians in Ottawa are doing it. So these people in here at Ottawa are just puppets. They're making big bank off of our pockets, and they're following orders from above to implement this new world order agenda. So that's the point of this party. Now, a lot of people think that this is not going to work. A lot of people think that we don't have any option but violence or civil war, revolution, and all that kind of stuff. And I admit that we may get to that point where we have no other option but to physically stand up and try to do something. But at this point in time, we have a window of time here, and I believe that this is the final window of time that we have. I believe that the people can engage in this party, and their voice will matter. And we do have a path to success. And the way we success, for those that don't believe that, 50% of the population typically does not take part in the election process. 50% of the people typically do not vote, as evidenced by so many people here that didn't bother voting. And why did they not vote? Because they know the systems are fraud. They know their voice doesn't matter. They know it's a waste of them and energy. So that's the path to success. We have all of the political parties that exist currently on this side of the fence, and they're splitting 50% of the people that pay attention to the political world. And then on this side, there's 50% of the population that is waiting for something that's real to change. And this is the real change. This is what's going to fix the foundational issues. So that's the path to success. That means it's a lot of work. That means the people that get engaged have to talk to their friends, they have to talk to their family, they have to spread the word. When you're doing that, it's very frustrating, as we all know in the past 5 years of all of the stuff that we've been trying to share with people and getting browbeat, thrown under the bus, attacked, called names, all of this stuff. The advice I would give people in that is don't waste your time and energy on people that aren't waiting to hear, that aren't open to hear, that aren't looking to hear. If they're not interested, move on. Move on to the next person and talk to them. Don't waste your energy. Don't get frustrated. Don't try to convince people. The benefit we have now is the federal government, at the very least, and the provinces as well, but the federal government, every day goes by, they do something else. It's more egregious, taking away our rights. Look at all the bills that they're trying to pass in Parliament now, taking away our rights, free speech rights, hate speech rights, all of them. There's no reason for them to be in there doing that. So as each day passes, more and more people are being forced to see something is significantly wrong with what's going on in this country. And that's what's pushing people to look for solutions. So what this is a solution. If people suddenly start opening their eyes and realize that something's significantly wrong and they have nowhere to turn, they'll be lost. So I'm hoping that they recognize that there is somewhere to turn, and this is where you can turn, and this is about real solutions. I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to be a politician. All I'm doing is utilizing a path that exists to give us an opportunity to take our power back and make the significant changes that we need to make. Being the voice of the people. So how does this all happen? I'm going to say it, and it's probably going to come off as simplistic to people, and it's almost like Trumpian in a sense, even though I don't have any faith in that guy either. But we'll speak on success. If we win this, when we win this, and now this party, myself and the other 342 people we find across this country that are willing to stand as candidates, and we win this, that's it. Nobody can stop us no more. Nobody can say we're committing this treason. Nobody can say anything, because we're running on this platform to make the changes. When we win this, we're going to make the changes. What does that look like? The theater of the House of Commons is not going to operate. Everything will be shut down. The systems will run just like they run now when the government goes on 6 weeks vacation for Christmas on your dime. It'll be just like summertime when the government's not working. The politicians aren't working. Everything still runs. All of the systems still function. It's run like any kind of other organization, middle management. So the only thing that will be shut down is the theater of the House of Commons. The investigations ultimately leading to arrest of the politicians will take place, and we're just gonna do what we need to do. We're gonna separate from the monarchy. None of the contracts that they've ever signed to make any of these deals valid legally in their fictitious world are lawfully valid contracts. So we will separate from the monarchy, period, end of story. We will take back the bank, and we will not be paying the $2.2 trillion in debt. If they want to go after that, go after the Trudeau family, because he made that deal. Go after the politicians that are agreed to that, because that's not our problem. So that may seem simplistic, but that's the firmness that I have in my mind of how we're going to do that. We're just going to take the country back, and we're going to fix the problems, and then we're going to put it back out to the people. An actual constitutional convention, including the Native Nations, first time in the history of this landmass. And you guys, everybody knows that they're all hollering because they want a voice. They want their voices heard. They want to be treated properly, and so on and so forth. This is an opportunity for them to do that. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do to get there. There's a lot of work to do if we are successful after the fact to fix the problems. But the one thing is, like I've said, in the whole entire time that I've been speaking and talking to people and trying to educate people, is I would much rather go through the hard times to fix the problems that exist than simply accept the hard times that are coming if we do nothing. Now, like I said, I don't know what the timeline is. I can't, I don't know if we have enough time to pull this off. I don't know if we get forced to stand up. But until that stuff happens, I don't see any reason why anybody that wants significant change in this country doesn't support this and we try to build this. Because so many people, whether they like me or don't like me or agree with me or don't agree with me, I hear the same thing. We need something by the people for the people. This is by the people for the people. I can't do this myself. There's no way possible. I'm not attempting to do this by myself. I'm not asking people to follow me as some leader. I'm asking people to come with me, walk with me, and build this together. That's the whole point of what we're trying to accomplish here. To make it simple for people to know that they have engagement, once you join this party, it's only a Telegram group, but it's a private Telegram group for members only, and that's where people can have their voice. They can help decide things as we move along, what plans we're going to do when we move along. People have a voice in there. And then we can start strategizing in there, and people can share information about where they are to help find the people in their communities, and we can share ideas about how to build the communities. I'm not a politician, like I said. I don't know how to build a political party exactly, but I'm not going to sit on my ass and procrastinate until I figure out every detail. I know time is running short, so I'm just going to give this a fly, and I'm going to see what we can accomplish, and I'm hoping that we've reached a certain point in time that people recognize we actually have to do something real, and I don't know of anything any more real than this. Not legally, not lawfully, and not peacefully, that nobody can attack. The last time everybody would attack me because I'm trying to commit treason or I'm going to get people hurt, and that was all because I had the mindset that, knowing that this whole system was a fraud, proven with evidence that all of these politicians are actually criminals, that the people could join together en masse and arrest them. People got scared of that. I understand that that's a scary step. We may still be forced into that, but for now, we're going to go with this, and this is way more peaceful, way less risky, at least for everybody else. Maybe not so much for me, but nonetheless, that's kind of a short little point about the party. Of course, I'm here to answer questions and deal with concerns that people might have, so please don't hesitate to voice any questions or concerns that you may have.
Thank you.
How are you going to try and break in to this thing? Because they're going to stop you, right? So, you just, it's not you personally. What I'm saying is, how are you going to break into this system? And they again,
Well,
With your help.
we have.
With your help.
No, but we have within that's the loophole I'm talking about. We have within their system the ability to build a party. So that's what this is, build a party.
We agree, because they might stop you. You might not have the time to be a party, right? So how are you? Do you have a plan so that they can't stop you and you will become a
No, I don't.
Okay.
There's no way I can there's no way I can do anything for them now. So the party's not registered at this point, and the reason the party's not registered at this point is twofold. I didn't register the party right away because, first off, you need to have a chartered accountant to register the party. Chartered accountant could be fine because when they go through the platform, remember, chartered accountants get their license from the government. So that could be one of the avenues against us. The other reason why I registered the party is I'm not interested in registering the party to have two candidates. If we can't win, if we don't have the ability and the members and the candidates to actually physically have an opportunity to win, then everything about this is moot. Because nothing counts. If one person could win a seat, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not changing nothing. The structure will stay the same. So, can they stop us? For sure they can stop us. But then the other benefit of that is, if we do everything legally, everything lawfully, and build this party out, and we get massive numbers behind this all across the country, which I intend to travel to all 343 constituencies,
Nice.
and then they shut us down, and they don't allow us to register, or they don't do that, well, then that's more evidence to the people that we're facing criminals.
Exactly.
And so, as I've said, we may get to a point where we're...
I will, Francine. Thank you.
And if that happens, what
Gail, Borja, I see your message as well, too.
There's nothing more to do.
We can just take
Share this out, everybody.
And we're completely lawful.
Barry, tell him as well.
We've already been to police many times, filing information, trying to get investigations done. Everything is shut down. We've been to courts. There's been multiple elections take place across the provinces and everywhere else, and nothing changes. So this is a last-ditch effort at a peaceful solution. If they choose not to allow us to have this peaceful opportunity, then that's on them. And we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. I can't predict the future, but I can foresee a lot of the problems that you're seeing. And I can't give you an honest answer how I'm going to make it, because I don't have control of that. They're ultimately the ones that are going to be in control, and they may shut us down 100%. The central bank is huge, right? When you start talking about the central bank and taking back the bank, You look what happens in the world when countries don't have a central bank and what they do to go in there and destroy the countries and take out the leaders and implement central banks. So I'm putting myself at risk by doing this and traveling for sure.
I think that might be one of the things that.
But it is what it is, and it's a bridge we got to cross, and that's what I said. My friend back home in Nova Scotia, he said himself, like, this is probably the last option we have in a peaceful resolution to the problems we have. I'm not saying that they're going to allow it, but there is a path if we can get there.
I agree.
Exactly. Right on.
Nobody else. Don't be afraid to speak.
Actually, I just want to say, I don't know if you people follow what's happening in Bulgaria. After weeks of mass protests, Bulgarian
In
government.
Bulgaria,
Yeah, Bulgarian government just dismiss themselves. So, do we have the power? Yes, we do. I just want to say how much power we have right now. Gordon mentioned that there is a lot of bills sitting in the Senate and they passing them after another one. Because in general, people do nothing. That's what is my favorite sentence. People do nothing. Do we have a power? Yes. Remember 2022 bills S223, universal income? Yeah. Okay, we took action. There was at least a group of, I would say, 20, 30 of us who we sent an emails and we sent letters. I personally sent, I don't know, maybe 100 letters to all of those MPPs and senators. There was one standard letter prepared at that time by James Clark and Rebecca Shepherd. And did we win? Yes, we won. We were in Ottawa Citizen, you can Google it, you know, they call us conspiracy theorists, you know, that we are trying to do something that is conspiracy, you know, and then for 2 years they put this under the carpet. Right now this bill is under the new name S206. There is a petition created by James Clark, and I really to do this. If you don't want to sign a petition, you don't trust James Clark. There is also a letter that I personally created, you know, page 223, which you can use it as a template. Keep sending MPs and senators, because if you say sit and do nothing, you consent. Silence is consent, okay? And unfortunately, like I say, a lot of people do nothing, they just yap, you know? But simple like this, is that gonna give us something? At least it will stop this for a while. Why something like Gordon might take, you know, my rise and become stronger. But meanwhile, we cannot just sit and do nothing. Because they're trying to pass Bill C9, okay, also, which is everybody, I'm laughing when I hear those church, you know, people saying, oh, they're gonna deprive us from the church beliefs, etc. But what the fuck, excuse me, my language, what are you doing to stop this? They do nothing. That's what I'm saying. They do nothing. So I encourage you people, you know, to go and information is that if you go either James Clark, you either go Stand for D, you have documents ready, copy paste. You can add always something. This go to the Senate. There is a list of all those MPs. You can just simply copy paste. You know, send 3 emails per day. Always change the title. Because otherwise they will be going as a spam. Letters to MP, as long as you write of the parliament, are free of charge. Okay, and doing something. Okay, start doing something. Meanwhile, you know, if you agree with Gordon, and there's a lot of good points, you know, start supporting this, start spreading the news, and start doing, you know.
God create a real constitution.
Yeah.
Do you have already a plan? Do you have already a draft?
I haven't drafted it yet. I have a template that I put together, but I haven't put it yet. The reason I haven't put it in yet is because I'm not the one that can draft the Constitution. Drafting the Constitution, you're going to have representatives from the provinces, territories, and in this case, representatives from all the native nations, and those people come together, and that's what we do at that point in time, draft a real Constitution. And once it's agreed upon by all those people, from them representatives from them different nations and provinces and so on, once it's agreed upon, unanimity is the key. of the people to be ratified by the people. That's why we don't have any rights to hold up anywhere. The BNA Act that we have today, which is a Constitution Act, is nothing more than a corporate constitution showing the way that the Corporation of Canada is supposed to operate and the separation of powers between that and the provinces. There's nothing in that that talks about people's rights. And then, of course, you have the Charter. Charter really was a ruse. It was kind of a ploy to give the federal government actual authority. If the provinces had agreed upon that, then the federal government would have had some sort of lawful authority because the provinces agreed to give it to them. But Quebec didn't agree, so we didn't have the unanimous thing with Quebec. So it didn't. That doesn't work, and it was never ratified by the people. The Charter, if you look it up, is actually the Canada Act, and it's actually an act of the UK Parliament. The Canada Act is an act of the UK Parliament, owned by the UK Parliament. None of that stuff is legitimate. None of that stuff was ratified by the people. So that goes back to democracy. They say we have democracy in Canada, but democracy is based on the consent of the governed, and they don't have consent of the governed here in this land. They've never had consent of the governed. They never had a constitution that the people ratified. Provinces don't have constitutions that the people ratified, which they should have done. And the only way some people say, well, you get the consent through voting. That's how you give your consent to be governed through voting. But the whole voting contract is what? Because as I said earlier, they're telling you they're there to represent you. You vote for them, but they represent the parliament, and they swear the rest of the crown. So that contract is a fraud. So that can't be consent because it's a fraudulent contract. And anytime there's fraud in any contract, it vitiates the entire contract. So without having a constitution where your rights are enshrined and protected, you don't have any rights. We're born with inherent and unalienable rights, but they take them from us, and we have no way to protect them. I don't know if that helps you or not, but...
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask because, I was looking into the DNA Act.
Yeah.
When I was in the college. And, this preamble section talks about, continuum comes back to community and talks about, Magna Carta and, that was inalienable rights protected. But you can argue that, the Bill of Rights, 1960.
The Bill of Rights.
Government.
The Bill of Rights was a national Bill of Rights. It doesn't have any effect in the provinces. That's why they in provincial court, so they can't use Bill of Rights. The Magna Carta, if you remember the Magna Carta, that gave power to landowners, not just people. And if you really dig underneath the covers of everything, we're not landowners.
No.
None of us own our land. None of us have actual title to our land. We're just leaseholders. So I think legally, and I'm not 100%, but just a common sense of me makes sense legally. If you wanted to use a Magna Carta, I don't think that has a true standing because we're not true landowners. So that gave it to the land barons, the Magna Carta. And so with the Crown and the UK Parliament, there's an issue there because the 1688 UK Bill of Rights took away the authority of the Crown. They couldn't operate outside of the UK Parliament. So that's why the Act is owned by the Parliament of the UK. Canada Act, which is a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, owned by as a document owned by the UK Parliament. So there's a lot of rules and stuff being pulled on us right now. I'm saying we could do something like we have the American Constitution only correctly.
My turn. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that the rights and freedoms applies to them and not us as we the people. But it applies to them as if you are a judge or a lawyer or you work for the government in any capacity, even if you deliver the mail, that to those people. And let's an example that I was to walk action is that doesn't apply. I don't need to. I'm sovereign. I live under the belief that this country is founded on the recognition of the supremacy of God and the rule of law. And therefore it is primum non nocere, which is Latin and translated means do no harm. That is my only duty. Show me the victim. But past that, I'm just asking that the charter itself applies, and I don't know what your view here, but the charter to me applies to those that are in positions of authority and not on the individual people.
So that they have to be
Yeah.
responsible for us.
Is that fair?
Yeah, but there's all kinds of legal technicalities with all of this stuff. So I think it's section 32 or 33 that talks about what you're talking about, how it applies to the parliament and the legislatures too. However, if you go to section 58 and 59, you'll find that the charter is not even enforced. So therefore, if it's not enforced, it can't apply to them either. You see what I mean? So there's all these technicalities. And why isn't it enforced? It's not enforced until Quebec agrees to section 23, and then upon a proclamation from the Crown, then it would become enforced. Because so section 58 and 59 is a part of the charter that a lot of people leave out. It's not enforced, and they'll still argue and say the charter's this, whatever. But every time I've seen anybody bring charters up in court, in Norm's court, he had, I don't know, half a dozen at least charter applications filed, and everyone gets dismissed. Yep. So they got it's a lot of work. There's all kinds of different legal technicalities. So it should apply to them more so than us, Brian. I believe you're correct, but I also understand that it's not even enforced in effect. So if you're trying to make it apply to them to protect your rights, which is the design of it, then you're going to probably fail anyway because they're going to lean on the other.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the meantime, while you're doing this, is there things like we can do, like cash only? Don't do any like transactions. Like get away from bank transactions. Get away from using your debit card. We can fight back like on digital. Make it people more aware about digital ID and stuff like that. They're actually inserting it in our country. They haven't, like in UK, they are saying digital ID or lose your job. But here in Canada, they're just putting it in, so it's going to be if you want EI or CPP, they're going after the most vulnerable sector of society and going to install digital ID that way. So there's things that we can do, like we can go to our member of parliament, we can go to our provincial, like I don't think that email and I don't think online is working for us. I think we need to be boots on the ground more.
Yeah,
That's just my,
I'd say
you know what I mean?
on the ground more. When
Yes.
Buzz was talking about petitions and stuff earlier, when you send petitions to MPs and MLAs and so on, one thing you recognize is if you're not in their constituency, they can throw it in the garbage legally. They don't even have to look at it. So that means all the people to get a big mass amount that they have to recognize supposedly legally, because we don't know what they do behind closed doors, but it would have to be from their constituents. They don't have to look at anything from anybody else in the country. That's another legal technicality they have. So use cash as much as you, but at the end of the day, they're slipping. Well, cash is not exactly
big box stores too.
That's a whole other tangent. Anyway, nonetheless, keep doing that stuff as much as you can do that. But you have to understand that, like you said, this is what's happening. All of the government services, they're surreptitiously sneaking this in, and there's a checkbox that you got to sign, check off on, and they don't give you an option. You either check it or you don't. So then they get cut off of services, cut off of services, cut off of services, and ultimately they don't care about any of us. So boots on the ground is probably better, showing up at their offices and so on and so forth, and putting pressure on them that way. But as you guys are aware, when we do that, it's certainly when people lose control of their faculties and get aggressive and so on, they're looking for that because they want to have more security for the politicians. They're already doing that. They want to keep us away, keep the police and PPS and all this kind of stuff. Yep. But any way that you can put pressure on anything, any way you can put pressure on this system, I would put pressure on the system. We have to do that on all the different levels. of different levels. So like municipalities, people that are doing the work at the municipalities continue doing the work at the municipalities. But you have to recognize that if we do not deal with the head of the national level, we're not going to change anything just on the municipal level.
Yep.
People that are doing this in communities and trying to build communities and off-grid to prepare, keep doing what you're doing, share the information, teach people how to be more self-sufficient. But that alone is not going to stop the mess up coming. We have to deal with the head of the snake. And I don't know any other way, peacefully, lawfully, or whatever, than this. And the last attempt I had made was to try to get the people together en masse to physically arrest these people. We have evidence. We have evidence, massive amounts of evidence. The NCI, all of these other organizations have gathered massive amounts of evidence. So we literally are being governed by criminals, and we're allowing it to happen because we don't know a way out. And everybody's trying to be safe. Everybody's trying to be careful. It does us no good to be in jail. So this is the safest, most peaceful, lawful path that I know to give us an opportunity to take control. And once we take control, then we can start dealing with the problems.
But there's things we can do in the meantime to fight back, like you say, like cashless, like even the big box stores we can stop, like Costco, Walmart, all the stores that they kept open. Let's stay away from all of them. You know what? I found a local butcher and a baker. That's all you need. Find a local butcher and a baker, and let's start helping these people, each other.
There's all kinds, man. People talk about, like, Tim Hortons is a good example. And I don't want to just pick on, I don't just want to pick on Tim Hortons, but everybody complains that nobody can get jobs at these places because it's all the Indians now that have the jobs. That's their whole rabbit hole we can go down. That's another big scam that's going on amongst our own people, the Indian people. But nonetheless, stop supporting them. And I've been saying that for 3 or 4 years. Stop supporting them. And I have friends that own Tim Hortons franchises.
This is a white one. I know.
Many years. I know people that own. I'm saying, if that's the way it's going, stop supporting them. Because they won't exist if we don't spend our money there. They won't exist.
There are some Tim Hortons that are not using any, and you know what? I would highly suggest that we support those ones and make their business blow out, and that sends a big, strong message. So
in Ontario,
there are things we can do.
Where they have a majority of white people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a group of us right now, Patty on the list of the group of us, are working on a certain and specific list of individuals who are and most importantly, one for this list, professionals. These are professional people who are qualified to make empirical reviews of evidence and bring evidence forward. We're talking about, I'll give you an example, Regina Wattil, who has a PhD, she's a professional, so she's on the list. Dr. David Martin, on the list. What we're talking about here is bringing together a prolific list of professional people who have stood up against the lies and the corruption with direct respect to the COVID-19 campaign of care that embraced this country, and quite frankly, the thing that lit me up personally, okay, and basically directed the trajectory or the path of the future, so to speak. So this list of professional people, I'm not on the list. I used to be a professional. I was a commercial transport operator. I was just a dumb truck driver, and it's dumb. But, so I'm not on this, but this list is a beautiful list of extremely qualified people who have the credentials to say the things that they're saying about COVID, about the injections, about the complicity and the compliance with respect to the media, the members of parliament, those that were involved. And what we're asking for now is a financial forensics audit of those, everybody involved from 2019 till today, anyone who benefited from or enhanced their life or otherwise move forward with respect to gaining stock market gains, and on it goes.
Can we just focus maybe on the party, because right now we're going into the COVID and with some groups working on it, okay, and we have time limited, and there is a lady that wants to ask a question, but please no cameras on her, so if you can turn the cameras off. Okay, she doesn't wish the camera, but she has a question to Gordon. We have to respect that wish. Please, Sarah.
Okay, put your camera this way. Thanks.
Yeah, and I did a few tries of last time. Hold on a camera, do live streaming. They asked me first. I did actually. I did not hear anything. I'm sorry.
I mean, the whole idea here,
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay.
it's getting him. We want him out there on the air. We need him.
Okay, Brian.
It's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
Here's what I was saying, I agree that, how much about the difference between man or woman and person? And are you aware of if a person and for everybody else, man, woman, biological being, a person, fiction, that person, system, and the system of biological reality, it's a form of man, not the essence. So, but the person goes back to Roman times. From the artificial person is a corporation, natural person is human being. What is human being is not listed in Black's Law Dictionary.
Monster. Yeah, sure, I'm familiar.
Yeah, it says what is human being. Well, a human is in the form of man, not the essence. A human being is circular. A natural person, male.
Yeah. So where of that? So where you?
Where are we going?
That's what I'm getting.
Who owns what? It seems to me the issue is, and where all the downs come in, is that our person is not in our trusteeships. Our person is in trusteship with the people or entities that are making the legislation that's clamping down on us. Why do they have the right? Because they are in charge of our person. We retain control of our person. We gain control of our person. Can't be gained, we would never had it, but it goes back to all these things that can't be securitized. Can they make them our person? Can they control the person? No, if we take it and put it in our own trust. How does that fit in with your game plan?
Well, that's one of the ways it fits in with trying to separate the courts from the political structure. And in doing so, then you have to have separate court systems to start with. One would be common law, natural law court, which is where he would be if I was to hire you, was to hire me, vice versa. That's where that would be, not the legal system, because the legal system is all corporations. But a lot of that stuff can get dealt with in the constitutional convention side of things. That's where they trust. As far as the trusts go, I done a lot of work. I used to, in the beginning of this, I used to do that kind of stuff and teach people.
I'll bring it up, Brian.
About their rights and separation of the actual man and woman and their official created. But at this point in time, I stopped doing that because we don't have no arm of enforcement. You can go to court, you can stand in that right, common law, what have you, being a living being, and they're still going to roll over. They continue to do, and we can't enforce the truth. They just get away with it because they're not held accountable to nothing. So I stopped doing that. But that is a big part of
You're right, Brian.
because we have to get our rights back. The simple concept is everyone has the right to live as they choose, provided they don't harm anybody else. That's the basis of everything. I don't care how you live. Now, with the trust, a lot of people, I don't believe that we can access a trust, and I will explain that because the trust has to be trust, or the birth certificate trust, or any trust that they created from any of the fictitious identities in the all caps name, you have to remember that they created them. So they created them with a fictitious name of ours, they all caps our names or what have you. But if they created them, they ultimately own them. And the only thing that I've ever believed that anybody could actually do in relation to trust would be to have their bills paid, to figure out a path that trust will pay for their debts, pay for their bills, power, and so on. I don't believe that anybody's going to get way access in a trust that was never ours to begin with.
I agree with you.
So, Patty, there that we in our likeness, based on that point, we can't say,
Draw.
"Whoa," and stop.
Again, well, then I would say show me proof of concept, because everybody knows that. And I've had this discussion with lots of people, and a lot of people go around selling courses, selling this, selling that, and until you show proof of concept that they've successfully achieved the goal, then I would say you're getting railroaded and you're getting taken advantage of. And that's why I stopped teaching all type of stuff for individuals, just in relation to traffic tickets, which is really simple. I witnessed and I know that when these people go to court, they're getting bullied, they're getting railroaded. I can't guarantee that what I'm teaching them is going to work. Therefore, I'm not going to sell it to money off something that I can't guarantee will work. And so until somebody come to me and show me proof of concept that they've asked their trust and show it to me, then I will be with the same. I understand the concept on a big scale, and it's there, and maybe we can get whatever, but until you can, I'm not interested. Really, I'm interested in the bigger picture of fixing the landmass and getting our rights back and stop this here.
Thank you.
Another point is that, from my understanding, you have it set up properly, you don't get to court. Like the partisan person's not what you stated, but trying to use the birth certificate to fight court, and that's a personal just.
The truth of the matter is you shouldn't even go to court.
Exactly.
However, as we have no arm of enforcement, if you do not go to court, you can send the documents, and they're still going to show up to your door, and they're still going to arrest you with a warrant, and they're still going to drag you to jail, make you show up at court. And so you did everything right. This is why I don't teach that. You've done everything correctly. You've sent them the information within 72 hours of your trap, for example. Just in that example, you don't go to court with the affidavits, and an unrebutted affidavit is supposed to stand as true, but we can't enforce it. All this stuff is true, but when you don't go to court, because you sent your paperwork in, who's going to answer when they come take you up and they come to your door with a warrant? That's the risk.
I wasn't there, but I have heard of people getting just do not detain.
That's fine. And people can't, I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. If they know what they're doing, they can do that. But my focus is well beyond that now. Because when we fix this issue, and we fix the courts and separate them from control of the politicians, we're not going to have all these little battles. It's going to be a correct system for them. That's the benefit of it.
Actually, it's like playing tennis. If somebody invites you to play tennis, you don't know the rules, you are not the equal partner. Once we start being the equal partner, then we can make our own rules, and then we can impose whatever we wish. Yeah? Because right now we're not equal. Majority of the people don't even know how the court system works here.
The only way I know to hold them accountable is find out who holds their bonds and then go after their bonds. And I have not, in the last years I've researched and I've talked to all kinds of people and I have people access.
Actually, we are living.
Hard to find it.
Yeah, we are living example, and let me tell you, it's not like they tell you in television or whatever, independent. This is a very deep subject, but meanwhile, we cannot, in order to teach, and I totally agree with you, in order to teach people about the trust, it's a very complicated subject. It is possible, but like you say, we cannot enforce this. I've tried once, and 2021, and took 4 minutes to get rid of me, okay? So 4 minutes, okay? They brought to the municipal court, they brought a judge, especially from Elmer, from Montreal, okay? And I know people who lost their houses because of this. So meanwhile, what you propose is basically playing the equal tennis, yeah? We can
Trying to fix the whole
yeah.
thing. See, you got to recognize when you're in court. Court's not just a jurisdictional issue. That's what comes up a lot when you.
I'm trying, Brian.
Common law. It's like you're standing as a living being, and it's not. They don't have jurisdiction. But it's more than just a jurisdictional issue. It can be a venue issue. And a venue issue, like in case of Norm, when we were in court, when we asked the judge if he was bound by the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights and so on, and he says no. But that document is a binding document in Canada, so how can that court not be bound by that? Because it's not a court of justice, it's an administrative court. But they don't tell us that it's an administrative court. They act like it's a court of justice. So there's so many technicalities that we don't know, and you're only going to learn when you make a mistake, and when you make the mistakes, they crack on you. So I'm not against anybody doing any of that work. I'm explaining where I come from. I can't guarantee what I'm telling people is going to work, so I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to work on the bigger picture and try to fix it at the head of the snake, and we fix it up there. And these little battles that we have to deal with every day, we won't have to deal with them.
Exactly.
There's going to be actual real justice and that's the point.
See, I like what you're doing because nobody else in this country is actually doing it, and you're standing up and you're trying to do something. And the more people need to be like him, you know what I mean? I'm not about politics. I voted last year, so everyone would be quiet because they don't say, you gotta vote, you gotta vote. And I've never voted in my life, so politics. But you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. I'll share all your stuff on social media, and everybody here is going to keep following you, and hopefully that you impact where if the government does shut you down, you know what that means? You're going to have all these people standing beside you and saying, hey, you know what? Kudos. You stood up against the government.
Well, I won't make an impact with other people, so that's not going to be me. Back to Brian's point earlier, there's going to be a lot of truths come this whole movement that people are going to be a bit shocked by. Some of these people I believe are freedom fighters or heroes or whatever. I believe are actually gatekeepers. I believe that they tell a certain amount of story and they're not actually there to create change. And the one example I want to talk about, and I cannot explain the reason why, and I've said before, is David Martin. I reached out to David Martin because I've heard the story. He has all the evidence, the true and Accutas and all of the trading and all this deal. And he's always said that he has the evidence, but it's for the Canadian people. And as I'm the guy that wants to bring justice and accountability back to this world by making these politicians that are actually criminals accountable. So I reached out, and all I said, I'm looking for the information, which we could probably all find on our own, but I wanted a little bit of guide from him and his people to go the next steps. I said, basically, I'm just a representation of the Canadian people. So I commented. I was on some YouTube video, like a little YouTube live thing he did. Commented. I never. No response. I found him. I know I went to comment on everything, and I was always polite. I was never ignorant. And then I comment, so I got blocked from comment. So publicly, I'll say, why isn't he willing to reach to the people and put the evidence in the people saying it? And I know he's been out west, and I know that he's been talking to some of the people out west to put these big ticketed events together. But again, I don't know what everybody's real is, but I still haven't seen anything that's come from that. So I don't know. I just think there'll be a lot of gatekeepers that are going to show up.
I say we make confirmation of that before we get too far, and I think that there is an actually good.
It's possible. I'm just saying. I
believe that strongly. When I'm a strong advocate for Dr. David Martin, he is the light for me.
That's fine.
That's the guy that lit me.
I'm just explaining where I come from.
I know, and I'm with you.
And I've made efforts to talk to lots of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you know what? Here's the
it'll
thing.
play out.
When you've got a billion people, a billion, absorb that. You don't have a billion, but he does.
But he's also got staff, Brian. He's also got people that watch his social media. Anyway, I'm not going to argue it with you. I'm not trying to. I know you're not. I'm not, and I don't want to get into that. What I'm saying is, I've made concerted efforts to already try to cross that bridge. So we'll see what happens.
I want to help. I want to help at that point.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Not candidates yet, but there's already people relevant in candidates. That's where
No, not Carl for being coming up. Alright, you guys have a good night. I'm going to end this.
I know for a fact that there was a UPC member candidate with pretty much all the writings. But when you have a certain amount of days to register and you have your 100 signatures, they weren't bringing it. It's as if they were infiltrated. They were fake candidates. Like they said, yeah, I'll be a candidate. They put in the application, and then So a lot of them, they pretend to be a candidate, and when it comes, they stop real people that really represent the party to come in because there's already a candidate.
So that happened to me in Nova Scotia. I ran in the 2021 provincial election as an Atlantic Party candidate. I intended to run in my hometown, and they said that somebody was already in that area. So I ran in the next area, which was unfortunate because I had done a lot of legwork and groundwork for the 4 years previous in my hometown. But anyway, at the end of the day, the person didn't even bother running in my area, and I was pushed over to another area. So what I'm trying to accomplish right now is build the communities, and from building the community, somebody will step up to be candidates, and by building the communities, I would hope that there's more than 100 people in each community that's already there. So have the signatures and have that prepared, and have that all ready to go. That should be all ready to go. But in order to build this, we're going to have to hope that it's up to the people. It'll build as fast as possible. But my mindset is looking at an election in like 3 years from now or something like that, if we have time. And I don't know if we have that window of time. So there's all kinds of things like that could come up, but I can't do anything about that from where I'm standing right now. But I understand what you're talking about, and it's up to the areas and the constituencies for them people to find, to be like, I'm not interested in working with people that aren't serious about doing this, and if they're not serious, then you don't need to be a candidate. But I'm not the one that necessarily picks the candidate. It's up to that area, that community itself, the constituency itself is going to decide who the leader in that area. They'll rise up on their own. Some people don't want to ever do that work. They just want to be supportive or whatever, but they don't want to actually puts their face out there and does all that. So that's a bridge I'll have to cross when we get there, but I know what you're saying for sure.
Because it was already disappointed because, let's say, in the Cornwall Glengarry riding, there was a lot of people who were really ready to do door-to-door and campaign, but the candidate never showed up. And they said, where is he? We want to see him, we want to canvass for him, and he was nowhere to be found. He was just a fake person.
I know, but the candidate should be the one doing most of that work with them and supportive of other people.
Yeah.
He should be the
And they were going through the website and say, yeah, I want to volunteer for my riding.
Yeah.
Nobody was calling back. The candidate was not calling back. The candidate
Maybe
never...
this is what puts the power back in your hands and the people's hands in the community, because you guys are building this in the community. There's nothing that exists right now in the community for the most part. You're building it. When you're building that community, then the candidate's going to come out from the group of people that's building it before that even takes place. You know what I mean? This isn't going to be some candidate in the area and you're waiting for them to show up. You're already going to know. That's building this. That's the point of by the people, for the people, not built by somebody else as volunteer. Well, this is built by the people in the community. That's the only difference I would see in this compared to what you're talking about. You would already know who it is. You know what I mean? Because you're yourself.
So you have a website, yeah? So I
Yeah.
assume there is more information on the website.
Yeah, forms there. There's for people with the product country at the bottom of the first. When you first open it up, there's a front page. Just X that out, and then in behind that front, that's the first page. At the bottom of that page, there's a video from YouTube called Candy Illusion for those that aren't familiar, and then there's also the PDF, the book called Hope Canada, which was written by Russell Rogers. That will tell you and explain to you about the fraud of this whole system. And I will go on and I will stand with the federal government that's ruling us right now have no lawful authority to do so. But they do it because they've created the system and they've got the police and they've got the courts and so on and so forth. So those two in that video are very good informative pieces for people to look at for themselves. Then it's government documents approved to be an Act, Tax Lottery Revision Act, Statute Fed 1947, Royal Town Styles Act 1952, and 2024. All that information is proved to you that the system's broken. But that's up for people to do the research on it. And then of course it talks about the platform, and it's got a layout of bylaws and constitution. It's all there. Any questions that people have that come up in the meantime, you're more than happy, just an email there, it goes directly to me to answer questions, deal with concerns or what have you. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
So to wrap it up, anybody wants the information, contact you, everything is here. Yeah, and maybe, you know, I would suggest maybe every seat that you go to have like I don't know related to the group, like unfortunately not so many people claim, yeah.
Thank you to everybody that was able to make it.
Yeah, but I can present this to people, I can send this, you know, and it, like I cannot, you know, say people you have to do it because I'm not in a position, of course. But having this right now in mind, like I will be directing people, and it's up to people to decide, yeah.
You can use Zoom in your area if people want to gather.
But that's what I'm saying. With the Zoom technology now, it looks right now without the Zoom, you know, maybe one day come on the Zoom, and the group that we are meeting, there are people very advanced in many subjects, you know. So let's do it, and I will encourage every single one of you, you know, spread the news, you know, and it will be up to the people to decide. Because one thing for sure, we cannot sit and do nothing, you know, and that's what is happening for the last 2022. I mean, there are groups, and I already mentioned a few of them.
My battery's dying, everybody, so I'm going to probably have to shut it down pretty soon.
Uh-oh. It's like the standard Eastern Bank, you know, taking over, you know, people forgot that just 3 years ago we treated like nobody, yeah, okay? So, and we know there are people, you know, something new, something new. Most of this is fear, okay? I don't buy this, but we have to start doing something. We have to start, like I say, see Gordon's side, meet whatever it's going on in the Senate, be active. Here's C9, 206, be active, okay? Because if we don't do anything right now, you know, to undo this stuff, yes, it is possible, but it will take enormous power and enormous energy to do it, okay? If we can stop this at least for real, you know, and play with the tongue, that's what I suggest, let's do it. Do it, you know, like really start doing, guys, you know. There's so many people in the one interview, please spread this new go to meeting, contribute, when most of us we sitting on, contribute half an hour a day, read and find out the information. If you don't know where to find it, contact me, I'm more than happy. I have a library of information right now, okay? There are other groups, be active, you know, like you are very active on the social media, there are other people who are very active. Whatever your heart is navigating you, go for it. Okay, go for it. As long as doing something. Because personally, I'm sitting back and people just yapping and, you know, everybody wants to be a media creator, they call this, but I don't see action. And don't forget that we are from the country that solidarity movement abolished communism, okay? We Polish, we know what we've done and how we've done. We know what we've done and how we've done. We didn't sit and look at our, you know, TikTok, whatever, if we look great. We push our asses on street, okay? So, there is no more.
I'm doing stuff like what you're saying too. Like I'm boots on the ground.
Every day. Every day.
Active in court. I'm suing TPS officers and a police officer. I'm suing another police officer. I'm filing change of venue. I've been charged, like I've been arrested, thrown just words into jail, just their words. And so like I'm fighting back, and you know what? They're backing up.
Absolutely. And you're the perfect example.
You have to do something. If you don't do nothing, then they're just going to continue bulldozing us.
Absolutely.
So
And
stand up.
I agree your correction, and you know, it seems like us women are fighting more than the men. Where are the men in this country?
Should I put it
No.
in
Where are the men?
I don't know. Is this on email? Yeah.
Anyway, that's, yeah, we'll anyway, that's yeah. So we'll get ready. Share anything familiar with it, become comfortable, and to your point, if before I get to where I got to get to, people are doing meetings or gatherings or whatever, and they need me to help, then I don't mind doing Zoom calls or FaceTimes or whatever. Call me on a speakerphone. With that, I'm more than happy to do it. People let me know. So we just get going as fast as we can. Anyway.
And it doesn't need to be a group. If you have few friends in the house, you know, guys, and you want to obtain some information, you know, the work is the most important. At the beginning, there was a work, yes. So the work is the most important thing, you know. We start talking to each other, presenting people, because not everybody is aware, you know, and let's not let the fire go down, okay? Once it's ignited, let's let it, okay? Let's talk to each other, talk to your neighbor, hey, have you heard about this? Especially right now, so many people have all this liberal spending, the budget and everything. This is the time to the table, you know. Don't think again this, you know, going forever, because that's separated. Think right now the important thing, how we can save this country from what's going on. Later on we're gonna deal with everybody.
I kind of disagree with you about that, because many people are injured in this injection. Many people are hurt from it. So, and you know what? They use our job. So we have to let people know that they're going to use your job as leverage for digital ID. They're going to use it. We don't stand up and say something else. So we have to remind them about what we're
I
doing.
totally agree with you.
Can't forget it.
But we have also have to focus what is the most important, like Gordon mentioned, cut the head of the devil, okay? Once we have the head, all of these other hands, whatever, they will be much easier for us. Because if we focus right now on one topic, and you know, I know personally people who've been injured, okay? I know personally. You know me, my own children were never vaccinated. That speaks for itself, okay? My own children, okay? That's how far I go with that topic, okay? And how long, many years ago, okay? And I totally agree with you. But right now we have to focus on what is the most important right now. The most important is to develop it. That we can be equal part in that ping pong game, you know, because we are not equal right now.
Oh, you're
Right now, this is what I see as a personal problem, is I think people believe in unity. The thing is, we don't unite because of different opinions. You know, maybe one wants to talk about COVID, another one wants to talk about this, right? But it doesn't matter. We're all different. We all have our opinions, but we have to be united and not fight among each other. And it doesn't matter, like Tina said, COVID, we have to get there first, right? We need to get up there, get right up there, make sure the people that we are together and we all united. And it doesn't matter of individualities that we have, because we're all different anyway. So our opinion should not, or we shouldn't become prejudiced against each other. We just have to unite and support that cause, and that's what we should see in front of our eyes.
If you want to win the championship,
Yeah.
like what you're saying, the end goal, if you want to win the
That's right,
championship,
it's at the end
you got to
goal.
work as a team.
It's a team.
And this is the problem.
That's right. Yes.
Have the same enemy. The enemy is the government, and that's the fact.
We recognize that this country was founded on the recognition of the supremacy of God.
And we have to start there, right? And to wrap this up, you know, that's the point, guys. The unity, like I said, if there will be later on people who want to deal with it, if there will be people, we can distribute this. But right now we have to focus on one who want to deal with this. We can distribute this, but right now we have to focus on one main goal. The main goal is right now, right? You know, as a country, as we were in 2022, you know, when we had the convoy, I've never expected the Canadians will be so united like we were during the perimeter time. So let's bring that spirit together. Let's bring the common denominator, which means let's this system, you know, as much as we can create something that will be equal partner, and then all of the other issues we can distribute among these. Like party will be the president of this group. This one is working, you know, but we can do it. So. Saying so, guys, if there are no more questions, let's switch to Gordon.
vote.
Gordon, let me just put this here. And it's absolutely true. We really have to unite, and that's the only way that we can move forward. Anyway, I hope to see you in my live stream, 9:30 p.m. within an hour. I'm going to have Tish Conlon on. And tomorrow, Counselor Lisa Robinson. I hope to see you then.